Good day, everyone. It's been a while since we had our last class. So sorry for the long break, but we're back now. So we're able to round up with HTML, and I believe, considering the long break that we've had, we've all had time to practice, try out stuff with HTML. So I am going to believe that we are all conversant with HTML thus far. Okay. Because we've had enough time to practice, ask questions, figure things out, and reach out to me if there was a need to. So today we're going to be looking at some breakout exercises, right? These are just to test our knowledge on HTML to see how well we've learned so far, and just to have even for you to know, okay, to have that confidence that I've learned this, I can do this, I can do that. So I'm just going to run through them today. So the first one, we have breakout A, which is monster markup. So getting started, it says you redesign a jumbled web page into something more clear and informative for your readers. Download all the files from the folder supplied, but there's no folder, so just ignore that. So add a title with H1. Okay. So first of all, we have to create our HTML document. Go here to create a new file. Change this to HTML. Okay, so let me just give it a title of breakout. Okay. Okay, that's done. So now we can follow the instructions sequentially. So the first thing we're asked to do here is add a title with H1. So let's wrap the first line of the web page with H1 tags. H1 stands for heading. Level 1 heading, which is like a top level title. So let me add this. Just copy it and paste it here. Okay, it works here. Should have a title on its own line. Yeah, H1 is a block element, true. So the next one is make a paragraph. Now let's use the P tag to create a paragraph. Paragraphs are block elements, so if we do this right, this paragraph should be on its own line, so to speak, with space above and below it. Try something like this. So if we can recall, there are two types of elements in HTML. There are inline elements and there are block elements. What block elements mean is that they take up the whole available space. They take up the whole horizontal space available to them, while inline elements are only as big as the content within them. So if I create a paragraph and put just one word inside, say cow, and I close it, this will take up all the horizontal space. If I open it on the browser, right, this will take up all the horizontal space available on the screen. So from left to right to take up all the whole space. Then there will be space above it, there will be space below it, because the P is a block element. So it takes up all the available horizontal space, irrespective of the content within. While we have inline elements like span. Now what this does, it's only as big as the text within it. So it will start just before this cow and end after the cow. It will not take up any other extra space. If we check it in our browser, we would see that's how it behaves. But before that, let me grab this. Sorry, grab this paragraph. Something is off. Okay. Going back to this, we have put the image on its own line. Now we'll try to put the image on its own line. Images can be created like block elements or inline elements depending on whether or not you wrap inline text around them. Let's try to give this image its own space with one paragraph above it and one below it. Hit return to put it. Okay. So let me just grab this image. I'll replace the source with an actual image that I have in my desktop. So let me check. Is there an image here? Yeah, there's an image here, so I'll just use this. Right, this is the image I'm trying to use here. So I have to write the correct file type and the name. That is why it's responder.jpg. Okay, let's leave it like this. Let's see what else it asks to do. If you want to use a different picture, find one with, okay, I've already used a different picture. Make a paragraph followed by a list. So for our next step, we'll make a list. We'll build the list using the stats shared on the web page. To make a list in HTML, you can use OL tag or UL. We already talked about this. So let's just make a list. I think we can also copy this instead of having to type it out from the beginning. I'll just put it here. This is all just basic stuff. Alright, it's very basic stuff that I expect everyone to be conversant with. I've already done way more complicated stuff than this. So. Leave it like this. Okay, so I think we have 5 list items now. Create a closing paragraph and check out the link. Finally, let's wrap the rest of the text in its own closing paragraph. You can pick up text server, okay? So just grab this and put it here. So we see we have a paragraph, then within the paragraph we have a list, because sorry, a link, because the link is an inline element, so it makes sense to put it inside a block element like the P. So from here, put it on a new line so it's easier to follow. Okay. So we have a paragraph, then the link is here. What else? Check out the A, which is a tag for the link. You can see that links are inline. They stay within the line of text that hold the link. You can also try to change the href or hypertext reference of the link to one of your favorite websites to share with your fellow learners. So let me see, what should I put here? Okay, just grab this link, this website. Then what else? Add some style with inline tags. So go back to your paragraph and add some style. Okay. So let's make some styles bold. Let's make some italics. Let's make this bold. Okay, let's use the strong element. Then let's make something italicized. Let's use the same creature collector. Let's emphasize it. Then let's underline something. Let's underline this digital academy, or should I do that? Should I do that? So let me see. Yeah, let me underline it. And there's no other better place to. Okay. Congratulations on revising this for something more clear, informative. So that's basically it for breakout 1. So let's save this and see what it looks like. Save it as breakout A. So we save, then should be here somewhere. Okay, see down here. Great, so this is what it looks like. We have our heading, and we have our paragraphs, we have the image, we have our list, we have our underlined text here, we have our italicized text here. We use the EM tag, and we also have our bold or strong text here. So you might be a bit confused because when we're writing our code, we only made this strong, and if I should remove it to still look the same, but that's because by default the H1 tag makes the text bold. So if I save this, go back here and refresh, you see that it's still bold even after we've removed the as you can see, the strong tag is no longer here, but it's still bold, right? Because by default the H1 tag makes the text bold. So I'll just try and make another thing bold so that we can see. So let me make this cutest. So save that, come back here, refresh, and you can see that this is bold. Okay, and I can also make it underlined if I want to. Let's say add the U tag. Save this, and you can see it is now underlined. And if you check this, you'll see the code has now been updated. So that's pretty much it for the breakout A, just to test your knowledge on how and where to use some of these tags. It's nothing complicated. I'm not connected to the internet, but if we were, when I click on this, it should take us to this website, right? But we're not connected, so let's just leave that for now. So in the next lesson we'll be doing breakout B. Alright, so see you in the next one. Alright, let's look at the last breakouts. So this one is a bit more complicated than the previous ones that we've done. So for this breakout, your task is to take the content of a home page of a birdwatching website and add structural elements so you can have a page layout applied to it. It needs to have a header spanning the full width of the site, containing the main title for the page, the site logo, and the navigation menu. The title and logo appear side by side once styling is applied, and the navigation appears below those two items. A main content area containing two columns, a main block to contain the welcome text, and a sidebar to contain image thumbnails. A footer containing copyright information and credits. You need to add a suitable wrapper for the head, the navigation menu, the main content, the welcome text, the image sidebar, the footer. You should also apply the provided CSS to the page by adding another link element, blah blah blah. Hints and tips. You don't need to know any CSS, so the CSS will be provided. The provided CSS is designed so that when the correct structural elements are added to the markup, they will appear green in the rendered page. If you are getting stuck and can't research what elements to put to it, often helps to draw out a simple block diagram of the page layout and write on the element you think should wrap each block. So this is what we are supposed to replicate. This example here, this bird watching site. So there's the title here, there's a logo here, navigation menu, heading here, some text, heading here and some images, then a footer. Alright, this is how it's supposed to be. So the most important thing here again is to get the structure right. The style must not exactly be the same, but the structure, what I mean is you can use other fonts, you can use other colors, you can use other images. In fact, what I did wasn't a bird watching, it's more like a butterfly watching site. So just things to note down: HTML5 introduced new structurally based elements, including the header, nav, article section, aside, and footer elements. All of these new elements are intended to give meaning to the organization of our web pages and improve our structural semantics. They are all block level elements and do not have any implied position or style. Additionally, all of these elements may be used multiple times per page, so long as the use reflects the proper semantic meaning. So this is just a skeletal framework of the elements used to achieve that design. We have the header, then the footer below section, and in the section we have an article, then we have an aside. So the block and inline elements that we keep talking about, another explanation. Most elements are either block or inline level elements. What's the difference? Block elements begin on a new line, stacking one on top of the other and occupy any available width. Block level elements may be nested inside one another and may wrap inline level elements. We will most commonly see block level elements used for larger pieces of content such as paragraphs. Inline level elements do not begin on a new line. They fall into the normal flow of the document, lining up one after the other, and only maintaining the width of their content, meaning they are just as large as the content within them. Inline level elements may be nested inside one another, however, they cannot wrap block level elements. We will usually see inline elements with smaller pieces of content, such as a few words, just like the example that I gave earlier. So let's look at what this will look like when you're done. So what I did using just some, this was when I was also learning, so thank God I found it. So you can also quickly just do something like this. It's not complicated, right? So I don't think something, yeah. So see, it's very short. Just have your HTML, then Inside the HTML, you can see there's a header, there's nav, there's section. Inside the section, there's article, then there's aside, and there's footer. That's basically it, right? And everything is basically inside one huge div called wrapper. Then the CSS is not also very long. We just have the body, text, style. So can go ahead and just replicate this in a matter of 30 minutes. You should be done. It's not just download your images. Let me show you the folder. So this is the folder, butterfly watches. We have images, so the images that are used. Then we have the HTML and the CSS. So this shouldn't be hard for you to do, considering all that we've done so far. So like I said, the CSS doesn't have to be the best. You can even use AI for that, right? I just want to get the HTML structure right. That's the most important thing, because in our next lesson we'll be moving on to CSS, cascading style sheets. So we'll talk about CSS, what is CSS, history of CSS, background, CSS example. So yeah, we're getting to the fun parts now. We'll talk about CSS structure, how does CSS affect HTML, do some examples as how it works. So for now, my main concern is for you to understand the structure of HTML. If you can get that out of the way, the style is not really my main focus for now. So yeah, that's basically it for breakouts. Looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with. Okay, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. As you can see, this is home, get started, photos, guests, forum. I just want to see that everything is in the right place. That's all. Right, so looking forward to see what everyone does.